Okay, we've been getting a lot of inquiries as to whether you can use Wipe New on wheels, and yes indeed you can. It's actually a great application for the product on a couple of levels. It'll actually prevent brake dust pitting. It makes your cleanup very easy, and if you've got an older wheel that's already been subjected to a little bit of damage, perhaps chemical damage or just general neglect, Wipe New will rejuvenate the base clear finish on it. Or if it's, if it's a chrome-plated wheel and you do your proper prep, it'll actually restore the color and the vibrancy to that as well. What we've done here about 4 months ago is we coated these wheels on this M6. BMWs, Volvos, Mercedes-Benz, they're classic as far as producing a lot of brake dust. They tend to do it more than most manufacturers. And then when you combine that with the intricate design of some of their wheels, it makes for a really difficult upkeep. This one here, because it's so open, you can see all the way back in the wheel, and if you just clean the front, you really don't get the visual that you want with this car. When they're sitting on the showroom, they're gorgeous. You can see all the way back, and all of this painted surface shines. And invariably what happens is one or two things. Either the person that owns the car gets tired of reaching back and having to scrub all this ingrained brake dust off the surface of the wheel, or they use a really strong cleaner that'll break it loose. The unfortunate thing is that cleaner usually does damage to the clear coat, so you're getting killed on both ends. You can either let the brake dust build up, or you can use a really strong cleaner to destroy your finish. So what we say is you can take the Wipe New, apply it, after your car's been detailed or after you've gone through your real thorough cleaning, and then at that point it's just a soap and water wash to keep the wheels looking good. This wheel here, we're going to go ahead and wash it. It's going to take 1 to 2 minutes to clean it off with nothing more than soap and water. Then we're going to go. First thing you want to do, if you have Wipe New on your wheel, is just give it a quick rinse. If you have a pressure washer, that's even better because it'll break loose a lot of the heavy soil and the brake dust that hasn't had a chance to adhere. You can see where the water's beating on the surface of the wheel, almost a bit as if it's been waxed. That's the indicator that the Wipe New's on there and it's still doing its job protecting. In the back, it's not going to rinse off as easy because it's a textured surface. But what I'm going to show you is this is just plain soap and water microfiber. You lay your rag onto the surface, give it a quick pass, and you can see that brake dust is gone. You can see from here in this slot to here, with nothing more than a wipe, you remove the brake dust. Now, this is a real troublesome area on a lot of cars. They're right behind these spokes because it's hard to reach and the brake dust tends to build up. All you have to do is get your rag in there, give it a quick wipe, the brake dust lets go, and you're off and running. Just take a look at another BMW wheel. It's a 7 Series. It's a factory wheel. It's a base clear finish on that. That means there is actually silver paint topped with automotive clear on top of it. And what you're looking at here is probably one of the more intricate designs, which means that your maintenance on a wheel like this is going to be much higher than the average wheel because the brake dust has so many places to hide. You've got a lot of sharp lines here. This is actually in relief from this. This isn't a flat surface. You have a transition here that's real sharp, and as time goes on the brake dust builds up in these little edges, makes it real difficult to clean out. If you don't have Wipe New there, what you'll do if you're not super diligent about keeping this wheel clean is you're going to have to use a caustic cleaner and perhaps some brushes to actually dislodge the brake dust that's going to build up here, around your lug nut holes, back around. This is a real troublesome area right here where your air valve is. If you aren't super diligent about keeping that brake dust cleaned around and underneath that, that's where the etching is going to begin. And there's a couple of options you can do here. It just depends on what's important to you from a visual standpoint. But as you can see, the wheel is kind of deep. I don't necessarily recommend that everybody coat the back of this. When you stand back 2 or 3 feet, your eyes really aren't drawn to this wheel like they were the M6. So what we're going to do is we're going to focus on coating from this edge out, which if you take it to a commercial car wash, and even most detailers are not going to clean beyond there. So as long as you can keep these areas pristine, the wheel's going to look great, it's not going to affect trade-in value, and you'll just be prouder of the car you drive if this looks good all the time. So anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to take you through the application process. There is literally a process to it that you want to follow so you get the best result. I'm going to take you through it now. You just take your Wipe New, soak your applicator rag. You want to get it pretty well saturated, not dripping wet, but you don't want any dry spots on it. And then what I recommend is you actually start from the difficult areas out. And the reason being is that invariably you're going to touch these outer surfaces when you coat this back portion. So you want to do that first. And all you're doing is you're just taking your finger, you're making sure you're passing all the way around. You can't force this rag underneath that valve stem So you have your little detail brush, paint the white new in into the areas where your finger's too big to reach, and just continue around. A real good tip, if you kind of get lost and can't remember where you started when you're making this circle, start at the valve stem, and then when you get back to the valve stem, you'll realize, okay, I've gotten all of the back portion done. You just want to take your time. Again, this product is real forgiving on wheels. It's more important that you make sure you cover everything. Also, as you're doing it, look to make sure you're not creating any runs or drips. If you do, just catch them with your rag. And again, now we're going to start the outer vanes. So what you want to do, again, we're going to start at the valve stem. Make sure as you're going around, because I spoke earlier about this little lip, make sure that your finger follows that lip so you get the product all the way in. And again, it's a process. Just start here, work your lip, and then get the vane itself, and move to the next one. All right, we've done all the vanes now, so we're working back into the center of the hub. You just want to make sure that these little areas here, you get product on. Okay? Again, I'm going to take my brush because you've got some these are kind of hard to see, these little vent holes. Just take your brush, paint into those holes. Same thing for your lug nuts. It's just a quick application. It's just really difficult to get your finger in there and get a complete coverage. So use your brush at that point. And if you want to, if you've got painted lug nuts, you can actually use white new on them. It'll actually give them a shine. Might come off when your tires are rotated again with an impact wrench, but that's it. That's it for the application. Now all you have to do at this point is keep the wheel away from water for a day. Let it go through its initial cure. And if you can, don't wash the car or use any chemicals on it for 5 days. You're not going to really have any appreciable brake dust buildup during that period anyway, but for you guys who are just obsessive, try to abstain from washing it for 5 days. And at that point, you can use anything you want. So this stuff gives you a couple of really good benefits. Let's say you take it to a detail shop, leave the car, and the guy, one of the helpers, uses the wrong chemical on it. You're going to be protected with this product on there. If you're doing it yourself, you're not going to have to go out and purchase expensive wheel cleaners. All you've got to do is use the leftover soap and water from your wash and a rag, and you'll be able to maintain these wheels just like this and save yourself several $100s a year if you're purchasing, over-the-counter wheel cleaners. It's great in that respect. And again, if you've got an older wheel, if this car's a year or so old and somebody has come along and maybe used a caustic cleaner on it and damaged the clear coat, a lot of times you can restore it back to factory new with white new. What we got here is an example of a really abused wheel. This is a 1996 S-Class Mercedes. We got a base clear finish on this wheel, but as you can see, it's been subjected to a lot of caustic chemicals and probably a lot of abuse as far as people not cleaning it on a regular basis. We've actually gone through a really thorough prep on this. The only way we were able to dislodge the brake dust was with a really strong acid, a caustic acid. And that's where the wipe new will really benefit you, in that if you do this at the beginning, the only thing you'll ever have to use to keep these wheels nice is soap and water. Every time you use a caustic cleaner on here to clean caked on brake dust, you're creating damage on the finish. So over time, this is what you're left with. I mean, it could be better, but at 15 years, just about any base clear finish is going to look like this, subjected to the normal wear and tear and the over-the-counter products that it takes to get that ingrained brake dust off. So what we're going to do after we prep it is we're going to take our wipe new and we're going to work from the center out. You want to work around your lug nut holes first, and then we're going to get each of these, they call them spokes, but it's really just a scallop in the wheel. But you always want to work from the center out, because if you work from the center in, as you come back and do these busy areas, you could leave little smudges behind on the wheel face, and you don't want to do that. So we work all of our little scallops. You can already see as I touch the outer surface how it's starting to brighten up the clear coat. Alright, go around the outer rim. You can even coat your wheel weight if you want to. And what we're trying to achieve here is just to try to get some dignity back to this wheel. It's never going to look brand new, but as you can see,
that's incredible.
It's a huge improvement, and we've essentially arrested the damage at this point too. It's not going to get any worse. And the other benefit, even if you have a wheel this old, is that from now on, you'll be able to clean it with ease. The older they get and the worse the finish becomes, the more tenaciously the brake dust holds onto there. So if you can do this, even at this advanced stage, it's going to make your life a lot easier keeping that wheel clean. So. Are you kidding me?
Oh, wow.
There's one other point I'd like to make for you professional detailers out there, and I know a lot of you visited our sites and looked at some of the different applications. I actually started with this product about 4 years ago, and I used it primarily for wheels. And what I did, I've been a detailer again for about 30 years, and when I started using it, what I would do is actually use it as an upsell for my customers on their wheels and on their plastic. And typically I charge anywhere between $100 and $200 to coat the back and the front of a wheel. You're able to do it. If you're detailing the car, it's literally only about another 15 minutes added to your detail process, and you can net another $200 out of it. So you're making money on one end, and then when you come back to wash the customer's car, if you do that on a regular basis, or you come back in 3 to 6 months and do another detail, you're going to spend 1/10 of the time prepping those wheels and getting to where they need to be from a visual standpoint for your detail. So it's actually going to make you even more efficient in your detailing process. So I would highly recommend adding it to your arsenal if you're doing this day in and day out, because it's a great way to increase your bottom line as a detailer.